allocation 4932, and I hope you enjoy the journey. We're now leaving Merry Hill. Ahead of us is a not in service E400 MMC Platinum branded for the X10 service. We are passing the Odeon Cinema on the right, and on the left the Boulevard Retail Park, and then at the top Link 51 and the KFC stores, and coming into view is the Bromley Hill Flats. We're now going up the Boulevard and Mill Street. We're now going to turn right onto Mill Street. This is Mill Street, which starts at the Corn Exchange and runs right into the town of Bromley Hill. We're now passing to our left the canal and Bromley Hill Primary School. We're now at the junction for Venture Way. To our left was the car park of the former Concord Market. But more people tend to use the main market in the town. This is Mill Street 5 ways. Now, the 15 is on the Wombourne rota and is combined with the 16 to Stourbridge and the 17 from Stourbridge to Dudley, except on Sundays and nights, Diamond run the 17 service. We pass a Dennis Trident on the number 2 from Dudley towards Merry Hill. In front of us is the Mall Centre, the smallest shopping centre in Bromley Hill. We're now going to be heading onto the number 6 corridor from Stourbridge. The 15 used to be numbered 255. And the 16 was the 256, while the 17 was the 257. Hanson's used to run the 257, and I'm going to be filming the 17 very soon. There is an additional service on Sunday called 15A, formerly 255A, and is a more direct service to Wolverhampton. We're now passing the Bromley Hill Market and also the Bromley Hill Library. To our right hand side is Pearson Street. Years ago, football grounds were at the top of Pearson Street, but these days it's now occupied by an Asda Superstore. It's now occupied by a car park of the Asda Superstore. This is a point of view on the double decker. The main allocations to the 15 are Dennis Tridents, and there have been since it was the 255. Originally they were Mercedes buses, but these days it's E400s and sometimes the E400 MMC Platinums with the USB ports. We're now coming to the crossover junction. with the straight ahead from going into Round Oak, but we turn left into Bank Street and we're passing the Bromley Hill Police Station and the Bromley Hill Civic Hall. Now, from the 26th of January, this route will be running up to every 20 minutes. And also note, Hinksford will no longer be served on this route and will be served by the 16 from Stourbridge. Instead, this route's going to serve Himley, but still provide a service in Wombourne. And also, note the Penrose will no longer be served. Instead, it will be serving Spring Hill, which is currently served by the 4th from Spring Hill through Wolverhampton to the I-54 Business Park. We're now passing David Lloyd Close. We're now approaching Brockmore. See Brockmore Community Centre up ahead. Brockmore used to be the terminus of the 296 on Stourbridge. It started up as Travel West Midlands, and then it changed to Hanson's and then Diamond until 2018 when the route was lost. We passed the Cribs and Dennis Trident on the number 2 from Dudley to Merry Hill, and we passed the Wallows Road, which is now served by the 2A, previously the Hanson's 228 before it was rerouted to Russell Hospital. We now fly down to the Dell Stadium. We're now going up to Upper Pensnett. We're now following the route 2 and 2A, but as far as Blewett Street. But as far as the common side where it goes down to Blewett Street. You can see the section going down Blewett Street in the number 2 video. This is Blewett Street, where the 2 and 2A part company from us. You can see that in our number 2 video. Pass and not in service B7 Volvo heading out of Pensnett Depot onto Merry Hill. We're now coming on to Tiled House Lane, where we will be following the 226 all the way through Crestwood, and we pass an E400 on a Merry Hill service. The 226 was originally operated by Travel West Midlands. It was then taken over by Hanson's local buses, and also Diamond did the Sunday service. Also, before IGO had the service, and then in 2017 the route was taken altogether by Diamond. The route is operated from Tividale Depot. 226 heading this way is facing, we are currently on the 226 bound line towards Merry Hill. The opposite direction for that. So the 15 towards Wolverhampton takes the 226's Merry Hill bound line, but the 226 heading towards Dudley is taking the 15 Merry Hill bound line. We're now passing Pensnet School. Well, the place is now demolished. It is now known as Pens Meadow. We're on a timing point, so we will finish this section, and also note this video will be merged into one. The building to our right is the Sports Hall of Pens Meadow, which is also known as Pensnet Educational Campus. This is Bromley. We're now going through Bromley and we'll be heading through Crestwood. We've just passed We're passing Colliers Road and Mullet Street. We're now going to cross the abandoned railway line that ran from Stourbridge Junction to Dudley, which used to serve Bromley Hill, Round Oak and also Blowers Green. It terminated in the town of Dudley, but most of the Dudley line will be used for the future of the Midland Metro that's going to run from Birmingham to Merry Hill. At the minute, it is under construction, running to Wolverhampton railway station. We're now on Bromley Lane. We've been following the 226 from Tardhouse Lane, but as far as the top end, where it continues to dive down to the bottom of the former Wordsley Hospital. Wordsley Hospital will be mentioned in our number 16 video. We are now on part with Randall Close, and we're now passing Crestwood School. This is also part with the Briar. This small section to our left was previously served by the 657, which used to be now operated by Midland Red and Hanson's. The route is now numbered the 17A and runs from Stourbridge to Wall Heath, operated by National Express. It interworks onto the number 5 to Dudley, but from the 26th of January, the 17A will be located at the bottom of the hill. The route that's going to run across the top of this hill will be served by the service by a new number, the 57, but without the 6 on. As you know, we've now parted company with the 226, but we will be seeing the rest of it when we get to King Swinford. now coming to the bottom of the hill, where we'll be rejoining the 226 and combining with the 17 and the 16 from Stourbridge. This is Stream Road. So right then, this is the section where we'll film the 16 to Stourbridge on return from Wolverhampton. Now on the main Bromley lane, where we combined with the 17 and the 16 and the 226 once again, but we'll part company for a short while as we do a detour to King Swinford. The 17 and the 16 runs fast and direct into King Swinford from this corridor. The same goes with the 226. We are passing the Portway pub and we go up the Portway. The Wombourne rota used to run a designated 580 and ran from Wolverhampton to Bewdley in Worcestershire via the village of Kimber in Staffordshire, through the hamlet of Wolverley, and then down Sign Hill to the town of Kidderminster in Worcestershire. The route, but however, when first Worcestershire took over, the route was then shortened and only ran between Kimber and Kidderminster, and there was a designated service to Enfield. But however, the service is now served by the Kimber Community Transport between Kimber and Enfield. The 580 was then taken over by Midland Choice from Wensfield Depot, which was part of D&G before Arriva Midlands took over. It was then later taken over by Whittles and Starport, and then taken over by Diamond, and ran two services a day, and then was taken over by and now it's been taken over by Coniston, running Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. We're now passing the Dennis Trident on a 15 towards Merry Hill. We're now going to be joining up with the number 5 from Dudley. The 5 was formerly numbered the 205 and ran from Dudley to King Swinford only, and will be reinstated to run Dudley to King Swinford only. There is an additional 5A service that runs to Heath, but only runs twice a day. We are currently on Stamdills Road, and we're now joined up with the number 5. Diamond buses used to run the service on Sundays until the end of October this year, when the route was withdrawn. Diamond also used to run the 255 on Sundays and nights, but however they were withdrawn due to lack of funds. We're now passing Swinford Community Centre. We're now approaching Swinford, which is the main town, and to left and to our right the school of Swinford. We're now passing the cooperative food store, which has a cooperative travel within. We're now at the site of the former cross, which later became the Arizona crossing, and we're now by the Swinford shopping centre. On the corner here is the former Bradford and Bingley store, which merged with Santander, which bought Abbey out, Abbey National. We're now travelling down the A491 towards Wolverhampton, which is 7 miles away, and we're now passing Musgrove Surgery, which is one of the health centres. There are 2 practices here in Swinford and Kingford. We're now coming towards the bottom of Stallings Lane, where the 17 heads towards Gornal Wood, Stigley Estate and Dudley, and also goes up by the Milking Bank. However, the 17 first does a loop around Wall Heath, then turns round at the top, heads back towards the junction, and then heads up Stallings Lane. Stallings Lane is also near to where Pensneck Depot is located, operated by West Midlands National Express. It is now 1¼ mile towards Wall Heath, as we will be travelling on the B4175. The A491 continues to Wolverhampton, followed by the A449. The opposite direction heads back to Swinford, Wordsley, and then on to Stourbridge. Going up it's towards Gornal Wood, which is 2¼ mile, 4 miles to Sedgley on the B4175, and then a continuation to Dudley. We're now approaching Wall Heath, the terminus for. There is an additional 15E service that's a part journey and only between Merry Hill and Wall Heath. The terminus is at Blaze Park, and that was also the terminus at the front of the Sunday 5 service, but that part is only served by this route and also the 5A. Ahead of us we can see an Enviro 400 on a Dudley to Stourbridge 17 service, formerly numbered the 257. The 17 is not to be confused with the Diamond 17 that runs from Halesoe to Merry Hill via Timbertree. This one is not to be confused with the Coniston Coaches 15, which runs from Kidderminster to Stourport, but that on Sunday confuses as the 15A. 15C is a unique number. We're now headed towards Blaze Park, and we're passing another community centre. This one is called Wall Heath, and we're also passing Wall Heath Evangelical Free Church. This is Blaze Park, where we can see an Enviro 400. This time it's another E400 on a Merry Hill service, which is sitting down on the timing point. We're now passing Miller's Green Drive. This is now the junction for the Bridgenorth Road. Straight ahead heads on towards the Stewpony at Staunton and then on to Kidderminster, as we now head out of the West Midlands into Staffordshire through the lovely country roads on the Swindon Road. This is the village of Hingsford, where the 50 will not be serving on the 26th of January, because that will only be served by the 16th. This part will now be served by the 16th service. As you probably might know, between here and Wombourne, the bus stop signs are currently subsidised by Shropshire Council. We will be rejoined with Network West Midlands, Transport for West Midlands, when we get to Wolverhampton. We're now passing the Higsford Arms and the Boiler House, and round the back the Caravan Park. Also note there is narrow roads on this route, and this is one of the only Merry Hill remaining National Express services that does the country lanes. The rest is provided by Diamond on the 228 from Russell's Hall to Kinger. We're also passing the lovely canal, which is part of the River Stour. To our right hand side is OCL Building Supply Store, which used to be known as Taps. So we're now passing the OCL, the plastering supplies and building supplies and timber supplies, and also sells a lot of soil and turf. We're now approaching the village of Swindon. Also note there is no other bus services here. However, there was, years ago, provided by probably the 580. Also, you probably might know that turning left goes onto the car line. The reason why it's called the car line because buses can no longer go up there, and because when you get to the top of what is known as Camp Hill, then heads onto the Highgate Common, and there is a telegraph pole with one arm, and that could cause a lot of trouble with the danger. We're now on High Street, turning left 3.5 miles to Enville and 5.5 to Kinder. It is now 2 miles between here and Wombourne and 6.5 miles to Wolverhampton. We're now passing the Old Bush. This is the Himley Lane, and it's 1 mile to Himley. We are passing the Greyhound at Swindon. We can see the main electric power cables, which are known as the pylons, and there are all 3 sets. The larger ones can run all the way through Staffordshire into Worcestershire, and also can be seen in Gloucestershire and also in Oxfordshire. All the way down towards Hampshire. We're now on the bumping position now, where we are down on narrow lane. Narrow lanes are really complicated for double-decker buses, but we plunge through the narrow lane, leading towards Wombourne. We're now coming to the crossover point in Wombourne, which is known as the Bridgenorth Road. Ahead we can see an Enviro 400 on the 16 from Wolverhampton to Stourbridge. We're now going to head down the B4176 towards Bridgenorth along the busy Bridgenorth Road. Ahead of us is the Sainsbury's supermarket. So now I want you to sit back, relax and enjoy the journey. We're now at the Wagon and Horses at Wombourne. Ahead of us is not served by bus services, as that continues onto Bridgenorth and also Telford along the Rabbit Run. Our journey is now to 30 miles an hour. We're now going through the estate of Ounsdale, just near to Ounsdale High School. That is served by the 16S service, which is a school service. It used to be known as 256S. We are still in the rural area. As you probably know, the countryside is rural, while towns and cities are urban. We're now on Giggity Lane in Wombourne. Also note, these roads are really tight for a double-decker bus. Occasionally, the buses that can be seen on here are B7 Volvos and also Enviro 200s. We are passing Wombourne Community Fire Station. We're now going to go down Planks Lane, and we're now surrounding part of the River Stour. We're now passing Wombourne Walk, which is known as a national park in Wombourne. We're also passing the turn-off point to St Bernadette's Primary School. Ahead of us is the steeple of the Church of St Benedict in the centre of Wombourne. We will be passing that church when when we filmed the 16 to Stourbridge. We're now passing some lot of independent shops, including the Wombourne Pharmacy and the Dale Medical Practice in Wombourne. We are now bouncing on the speed hump as we fly up a hill and passing Hounsdale School in Wombourne. We're now passing Hounsdale Crescent as we're on the Hounsdale estate, as soon we'll be arriving in the centre of Wombourne. There is a Catholic church just round the corner, but ahead of us is the Church of St Benedict in Wombourne. Passing Sunbridge Avenue. This is Wombourne. We're still subsidised by Staffordshire County Council, and we're on Maple Street. Turning right will be the section served by our 16. We're now passing Windmill Street and passing the shops in Wombourne. Passing the Bluebell Wood, and we're now flying towards the top, and passing us is in an Enviro 400 on a Merry Hill service. To the left is served by a used to be known leads towards the Wombourne Ford area. A ford is a patch of water that runs like a stream along the road. There is one in Quat. Originally, Hanson's did a school service down there. We're now coming towards Lower Penn, which is 2 miles. Turning left heads towards Branch Locks, which is the main canal forecourt in Staffordshire. And that is the place at the boiler house, and then turning on goes to the village of Treasel. There is a bus that runs in Treasel but only runs the school service, and that is the Arriva 9 service towards Bridge North, as that is an additional service to start in Treasel, and then it goes on to the 436 to Shrewsbury, operated by Arriva Shrewsbury Depot. Turning left here because it's a one-way system, and that way heads back to the village of Wombourne. Straight up is the A463 towards Walsall, but we're heading on the A449 towards Wolverhampton. As you can see, the M6 is also near to us now, so now we're flying on Stourbridge Road now. You also probably know that there is a certain company that runs a free Sainsbury's bus service up here. Right, here we go. 4 miles to Wolverhampton, and of course Stafford's now on the list, which is 20 miles away. Stafford is served by National Expresses 54, 54A via Heath and the I-54 Business Park, formerly known as 76 at Bromley to that was run by Heath, and of course you had Select 876, but you do have Select buses 876 and 878, and just on that side there is Sedgley, served by the number 1 from Dudley, goes past Bishop Mills School, and you've probably seen that on our technical vlog. Anyway, here we come, we're now flying down now, flying through here, and just ahead of us is the Mill and Car, formerly known as the Pen Cottage. So there we go. Mill and Carter Steakhouse. Now we've got to reduce our speed right now to 40 miles an hour. The A449 towards Wolverhampton. Now this will be the section where the 15 will be changed. It will be heading straight up that first exit. So from the 26th of January, this route's going to go through there, over the Springhill Estate, via this weird Merry Hill and also Brad. So we're now nearly approaching Wolverhampton, 4 miles away to Bilston and 6 to Willenhall. So we are now on Wolverhampton. So we're now passing 10 Springhill models and cards. Springhill models and cards just right there. And so here we are with, I'm going to stop this section. So anyway. Churchill's just right on our right. We're also passing Domino's Pizza and also the Penn local shop, and on our left a Tesco Express store. As you might know, we're now combined with the 64 from Whiteley Hill all the way to Wolverhampton. The route was started off as Midland Choice from Wensfield Depot when it was owned by D&G. Then it was taken over by Arriva Midlands, and then in 2017 Arriva Midlands in Wensfield was then sold off to Diamond Buses and now runs the route from Tividay. The route, the main buses that are seen on the 64 route are Optare Solos. They're now gone back to using the younger ones. That's because most of the Solo SRs, the white ones, are now seen at Greenwich. We're now subsidised by Wolverhampton City Council. Passing Osborne Road, and to our left is St Jude's Women's Hospital. Also currently so we're passing St Jude's Hospital, which is only a smaller version. The 64 runs from Wolverhampton all the way to Hill. And then you've got the additional 63 and 65 to, you've got the additional 63 and 65 up to the Ford houses, along to Ford houses. There used to be the 61 across the Golfwell Park, but now it is operated by National Express. We're passing Bromley Place. Even though we're not in Bromley Pensnett, we're soon the approach to Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton will be coming into our view once we've gone through the trees that is up ahead. We are passing the Mount Tavern and turning right to St Aidan's Church. We are passing the Tandoori of Penn, the Cooperative Funeral Care, and also Edward John Funerals. Penn Library is also to our left. We're also passing Algar Court. The Wolverhampton buses do tend to get busy, that's because they are the main popular route, with Wolverhampton being one of the busiest towns to be an outside city. We are also passing we're now passing an Enviro 400 on the 15 towards Merry Hill, and then passing a not in service one. Ahead of us is a B7 Crimson Volvo on the number 2 from Warstones to Bushbury through Wolverhampton. We are now joined up with the number 2 from the Warstones, and we'll be following it all the way to Wolverhampton. To our going up to Golfwell Hill, heads towards Willenhall and Ettingshall. This is to avoid the congestion on this busy road, because the road does tend to get busy. Turning left heads towards Compton on the B4161, but we'll be heading direct to the city centre on the A449. The A449 starts in Kidderminster. We are currently at the junction. We will soon be approaching Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton provides connections to various places such as Cannock, Stafford, Wensfield, and also connections to Telford, Bridgenorth, and also a link on to Shrewsbury, and also there's connections to there's even connections to Dudley, Bilston, Ettingshall, and also to Rocket some more connections to Wars, and there are 2 bus connections to Warsaw with 1 service to Bloxwich. We're now passing the popular boarding school, the Royal Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton city centre is now coming into our view. On our right hand side is the Waitrose superstore, and then we can see the main church and we can see the first church, which is the Church of St John's, and we can also see the St John's retail park, and then on top and then behind that is the former St George's Church, which was then turned into a Sainsbury's supermarket until it moved over to St Mark's, just by the Merrydale Road, following to Bridgenorth and Telford, and also to Purton. We are passing the McDonald's fast food restaurant, and also the Hyundai car dealership, and also passing the Kia Motors, and also coming into view is the main church in Wolverhampton, and that is the Church of St Peter's that sits in the heart of the city centre. We will be filming going through the city centre on number 16 route all the way to Stourbridge, and we're also passing the main garage of all, the Mercedes-Benz. Also, Wolverhampton do provide a free shuttle bus into the city centre known as the Market Bus. This is the Road East city centre. Wolverhampton attracts customers to the popular Beatty's department store, which is currently owned by House of Fraser until next year, which starts tomorrow, and of course and also coming ahead in the background is an Arriva Shrewsbury Octave Versa, which is on the 9 from Bridgenorth. Beatty's department store in Wolverhampton will be closing down from Beatty's department store will be closing down from next year, and will be relocated to the Manda shopping centre, what is currently occupied by Debenhams. Debenhams started as Owen Owen. It then changed to discount department store chain TJ Hughes until the chain went into administration in 2011. The shop was then taken over by Home Living, and then Debenhams took over for the refurbishment, but due to poor landlord issues, Debenhams vacated the shopping centre. We're now by the former markets, and ahead of us is the 25 service that runs from Wolverhampton to Penrithford. So we're now combined 2s, 16s, 25s, 26A, which only runs on the nights and Sundays, and the 63 from Oxbourne Avenue, not Ford Houses. And we can also see the park up here. We can see some car parking available for PT's departments, and also Church Street. They used to light up. We've just gone over the Penrode Island, and we'll be heading to one of the city's main connected shopping centres, which is known as the Wombourne Centre. We can see St John's Church on the right hand side. The Wombourne Centre is one of the shopping centres that used to attract two department stores. The department stores included C&A and Littlewoods. C&A became TK Maxx, while Littlewoods became Primark. But TK Maxx closed in 2011 and was relocated into Wensfield on the Bentley Bridge retail park. And ahead of us is the Debenhams department store. We can see a crimson Volvo branded for the number 2 on a service to the Warstones. We can also see the Manor House offices up ahead. The Manor Centre used to attract various department stores, and that was Owen Owen, which became TJ Hughes. You also had VHS until the chain went into administration in 2016. The site is now occupied by Wilco on the ground floor, and on the first floor, the shop is occupied. The shop is occupied by B&M Bargains. We're now passing the current historic the new marketplace, which has crates as an entrance. This is Cleveland Street, terminus of this service from the terminus, which is where most people dropped off. The 25 is unloading passengers, so this does cause delays to the timetable, and even for travel services. We're now going to climb through this route all the way into the town of Wolverhampton. We can see the former Wilco store, which opened as Allied Carpets. The shop is now empty since Wilco is now moved into the Manor Centre, and we're also passing the Central Library. And also we can see the Midland Metro tram stop, which is known as St George's and the former Woods department store. This is Bilston Street, and ahead we can see a Bangor Travel on Tear Solo, which is a usual service that can be seen on the 5:30 and 5:45. The 5:30 runs from here to the Brockmore, on the 5:45 between here and Bilston only. And then there's the 53 in the main bus station that runs to Brockmore via Wednesfield. The 52, which used to be the 22 from Wolverhampton to Wednesbury, only runs between here and Rosehill. Our journey is soon coming to an end. We can see YFO2 SKO, which used to be seen on the journey at R1, and we can see the 53 towards Rocketpool and Enterprise Blackstone Plasma. We are just about to cross. The Primo is now heading towards Rocketpool, Primo 2, YX60 DXF. That was also an allocation to the 891 and also seen on the 530. But these days it's mainly seen on the 52 and the 53. It is a bit of a bouncy bus. We're now coming on part of Ring Road St Davies as we plunge into Wolverhampton bus station, which is the terminus of this service. We can see the 25 en route towards Penderford. The number 9 is parked up in the station. We can see an E400 MMC Platinum on the 79 towards West Bromwich. That's going to go via Wednesbury. This is Wolverhampton bus station. All change, please. All change.